Let's take a look at a few models and applications for linear equations. As always, let's make sure before we begin that we're all on the same page. First of all, a model is simply a mathematical representation of any real-world situation. We're going to use the following steps in solving word problems. This is an algorithm. There are many ways to go about doing it, but to keep us all on the same page, this is the way we're going to do it. For step one, we're going to choose x to represent one of the unknown quantities. Then we're going to represent any other unknown quantity in terms of x. Then we're going to write an equation that models the conditions, solve the equation to answer the problem, and then check not only to see that it's mathematically correct, but that it also makes sense inside the problem. For our first example, let's look at the median starting salary of a computer science major that exceeds that of an education major by $21,000. The median starting salary of an economics major exceeds that of an education major by $14,000. Combined, their median salaries are $140,000. Determine the median salaries of education majors, computer science majors, and economics majors with bachelor's degrees. Inside this problem, I have three unknown quantities. The median starting salary of education majors, computer science majors, and economics majors. I can let any of those three be my base for x. But I'm going to go through, since I like addition better than subtraction, I want to figure out who makes the least. Well, the computer science guy makes more than the education major. The economics major makes more than the education major. And also a hint is that the education major shows up in both. So I want to let x be the median salary of the education major. Okay? Then look at that first sentence again. The median salary of the computer science guy exceeds that. That means he makes more than the education major by $21,000. So I'm going to say he makes that plus 21. Now I'm not going to write these in thousands. I'm going to remember that this is in thousands so that I can make my answer look right. And then I have the economics guy who exceeds the education major, so you got the education major plus 14,000. Okay, so step number one, identify the x. Step number two, make all other unknowns have a relationship with x. And then I'm ready to write an equation. So my equation is going to be that x, oops, not times, plus x plus 21 plus x plus 14 equals, combined is 140 thousandths. Now I'm going to go to the next screen so that I have room to work this out, but this is where it's coming from. Okay, so my education major, I'm going to label it up here so I know how to answer my question, plus x plus 21, that was my computer science guy. I left off my 1. Plus x plus 14, and that was my econ major, equals 140. And just as a reminder to me, I'm going to write in thousands. Okay, so now we're ready to solve. These parentheses, we're separating the majors, but there's nothing there to distribute. So it's kind of like they're not there. I'm going to say 1x plus 1x is 2x plus 1x is 3x. 21 and 14 makes 35. And since they said plus 35, I'm going to say minus 35, but what I do to the left, I must also do to the right. That leaves me with 3x equals 105. And since they multiplied my x by 3, I said 3, I'm going to divide both sides by 3. That leaves me with x equals, what is that? 3 goes into 10 3 times, 35. So my education major has a median starting salary of $35,000. That is not the answer to the question. I get this all the time. That's my answer. No, it's not. The question asked about all three. So to fully, and that's what I mean by make sure as you're checking that you're checking to make sure it answers the question, it makes sense in the problem. 35,000 does make sense as an answer to a starting salary question. Computer science guy makes 21,000 more than that. That makes him have 56,000. And the econ major makes 14,000 more than the ed guy. So 35 and 14 is 49. Now to be, excuse me, to be 100% sure, I take these three numbers, I type them in my calculator, I do find that they add up to give me 140,000. So I'm going to say I got it correct, and there are my answers. Let's take a look at another. You are choosing between two texting plans. Plan A has a monthly fee of $15 and a charge of 8 cents per text. Plan B has a monthly fee of $3 with a charge of 12 cents per text. How many text messages will the cost for the two plans be the same? The question asked for how many text messages. That is your hint on what you want to let your variable be. I'm going to use an n this time just to show you I don't always use an x. Let n be the number of text messages. That way, when I find what n is, I have answered my question. Okay? So if n is the number of text messages, the question is exactly how many n do I have in order to make the charges be the same. So here's plan A. They're going to charge me 8 cents per text. And by the way, this problem creeps up all the time. Not necessarily with text messages, with things that are much more important than texting, but it's in money problems, this happens a great deal. So 8 cents per text plus $15 flat charge. Plan B is going to charge me 12 cents per text, but they're only charging me a flat fee of $3. And the question says, when will these be the same? So I'm going to move to the next slide, and I'm going to set Plan A equal to Plan B. Okay, so here I have my Plan A charge and my Plan B charge, and I just need to set them equal to each other and solve. Okay, so I'm going to move my n's to the left because that's the way most of my students prefer. So negative 0.12 n on both sides. And 0.08 minus 0.12 is negative 0.04 n plus 15 equals 3. Since they said plus 15, I say minus 15. That leaves me negative 0.04 n equals negative 12. And when I divide both sides by negative 0.04, I get n equals 300. Why is this good to know? Because let's say you're doing this for your grandmother. If she texts less than 300 texts on the average in the month, she would be better off to go with Plan B. If she texts more than 300 a month, it would pay her more to pay less for those overages on Plan A.